Have you ever noticed that the people who stay calm in chaos are often the same people who trust no one completely? They do not panic when someone leaves. They do not collapse when a promise is broken. They do not beg when a door closes. Not because they feel nothing, because life taught them something painful. The moment you place your peace in another person's hands, you give them the power to destroy it. But there is a deeper truth. The strongest person is not the one who trusts nobody. It is the one who knows that even if everyone disappears, they will never abandon themselves. What if the reason some people never panic is not because they trust life, but because they stopped trusting everyone else to save them? Look closely at the calmest person in the room. They are not always the happiest. They are not always the most confident. Sometimes they are simply the one who learned that promises can break, people can change, doors can close, and help can arrive too late. So they stopped placing their peace in other people's hands. They stopped expecting the world to behave fairly before they allowed themselves to breathe. They stopped waiting for someone to understand them before they understood themselves. And this is where their calm began. Not in comfort, not in certainty, but in disappointment. There is a kind of calm that comes from innocence. A child sleeps deeply because someone else is watching the door. But there is another kind of calm that comes after life has entered the room without knocking. After betrayal, after rejection, after being left alone with a problem that everyone promised they would help solve. That second calm is different. It is not soft because life has been gentle. It is steady because the person has finally accepted one difficult truth. No one can be given complete control over your inner state. Not your family, not your friends, not your partner, not your boss, not the people who praise you today and forget you tomorrow. This does not mean you must become cold. It does not mean you must suspect everyone. It does not mean you should refuse love, friendship, guidance, or support. It means you stop confusing trust with dependence. Trust says, I believe you will try. Dependence says, if you fail me, I will collapse. There is a great difference between the two. The person who never panics may still feel fear. Their heart may still beat faster. Their thoughts may still become loud. But beneath the noise, there is something rooted, a quiet decision. I will not abandon myself. That is the foundation. Many people panic because they believe the moment must be controlled immediately. The conversation must go their way. The rejection must be reversed. The misunderstanding must be corrected. The result must arrive. The person must respond. The plan must work. And when life refuses to obey, their mind begins to race. But panic is often not created by the event itself. It is created by the belief that you cannot survive the event unless it changes. Think about the last time someone criticized you. Perhaps they misunderstood your intentions. Perhaps they spoke unfairly. Perhaps they touched an insecurity you were already trying to hide. What hurt more, their words or the fear that their words might define you? The untrained mind runs toward the critic and says, take it back, see me differently, approve of me again. The disciplined mind pauses. It asks, is there anything useful here? If there is, it takes the lesson without swallowing the poison. If there is not, it lets the words pass, like rain striking a stone path. The rain makes noise, but the path does not chase the clouds. This is not emotional suppression. Suppression is when you pretend something did not hurt. Calm is when you admit it hurt, but you do not let the pain choose your next action. You may sit with anger. You may feel disappointment. You may need distance. You may even need to say, that was not acceptable. But you do not hand your dignity to the moment. You do not become the insult that was thrown at you. You do not destroy tomorrow because today disturbed you. The calm person understands that every reaction has a cost. A rushed message can cost respect. A desperate decision can cost opportunity. A careless word can cost a relationship. A moment of uncontrolled pride can cost years of peace. So they wait. Not because they are weak, because they know that urgency is sometimes a disguise worn by emotion. But here is the question. If you stop depending on people, do you not become lonely? Only if you misunderstand the lesson. The goal is not to build walls so high that no one can reach you. The goal is to stop building your house on another person's mood. You can love deeply without losing your center. You can trust carefully without becoming suspicious. You can ask for help without making help your only plan. You can walk beside someone without asking them to carry your entire weight. Loneliness does not come only from being alone. Sometimes loneliness comes from being surrounded by people while constantly performing for their approval. Sometimes it comes from smiling when you want to speak honestly. Sometimes it comes from shrinking so others will not feel threatened. Sometimes it comes from depending on people who are physically present but emotionally absent. The calm person is not calm because they need no one. They are calm because they know the difference between connection and captivity. They know that love must be invited, not demanded. Respect must be earned, not begged for. Loyalty must be observed, not imagined. And peace must be practiced, not borrowed. A borrowed peace is fragile. It exists only while the message is answered. The relationship is stable, the money is coming, the plan is working, and people are behaving as expected. But practiced peace can remain even when the room changes. It does not mean you enjoy the storm. It means you know where to stand inside yourself while the storm passes. Imagine a lantern in a long corridor. The lantern does not light the whole building. It only shows the next few steps. Still, that is enough to move. Panic demands to see the entire future. Calm asks, what is the next honest step? That question can rescue you from many forms of confusion. You failed an exam. What is the next honest step? You made a mistake at work. What is the next honest step? Someone rejected you. What is the next honest step? Your plan collapsed. What is the next honest step? Not the perfect step. Not the step that guarantees success. The honest step. Maybe it is admitting you were wrong. Maybe it is resting before trying again. Maybe it is asking for feedback. Maybe it is leaving a place where your dignity is repeatedly ignored. Maybe it is staying and doing the difficult work you keep avoiding. Calm is not always quiet on the outside. Sometimes calm says no. Sometimes calm closes the door. Sometimes calm makes a decision other people do not understand. Sometimes calm walks away without a final argument. People often think self-control means becoming easy to deal with. But true self-control does not make you obedient to everyone. It makes you obedient to your values. That is why calm people can look difficult to those who benefit from their confusion. When you no longer react quickly, manipulation loses speed. When you no longer explain every boundary, pressure loses power. When you no longer chase every withdrawal, silence loses its threat. You begin to notice how often people use your fear of losing them to control your behavior. A delayed reply makes you anxious. A cold tone makes you overthink. A small distance makes you question your worth. So you rush to repair something that may not even be broken. You apologize for things you did not do. You offer more than you can give. You abandon your own needs just to restore a feeling of safety. But is that trust? Or is that fear wearing the clothes of loyalty? A disciplined person learns to sit inside uncertainty without inventing a disaster. They do not immediately assume the worst. They also do not immediately create comforting lies. They watch. They listen. They allow time to reveal what emotion is trying to hide. This is one reason they seem unshaken. They do not force every question to produce an immediate answer. They know some truths arrive slowly. A person's character is not proven by one beautiful promise. It is revealed by repetition. How do they behave when you disappoint them? How do they speak when they no longer need anything from you? Do their actions become different when no one is watching? Do they respect your boundary, or do they punish you for having one? Do they celebrate your growth, or only enjoy you when you are easy to control. You do not need paranoia to notice patterns. You only need patience. The person who never panics is often the person who stopped arguing with evidence. They no longer try to turn inconsistency into loyalty. They no longer rename disrespect as misunderstanding. They no longer call emotional hunger love. They no longer keep drinking from an empty cup and blaming themselves for being thirsty. This is not bitterness. Bitterness says, everyone will hurt me. Wisdom says, some people may hurt me, so I will remain awake. There is a difference between a locked heart and an alert heart. A locked heart refuses all entry. An alert heart opens slowly and watches what enters. One is ruled by fear. The other is guided by awareness. But what happens when the person you cannot trust is yourself? This is the question many people avoid. It is easy to speak about betrayal from others. It is harder to face the promises you broke to your own life. You said you would begin. You delayed. You said you would leave. You stayed. You said you would stop returning to the same harmful pattern. Then loneliness arrived, and you went back. You said you would protect your mornings. Then you gave them to distraction. You said you would control your anger. Then one sentence pulled the fire out of you. Every broken promise to yourself teaches your nervous mind a dangerous lesson. My words have no authority. Then, when pressure comes, of course you panic. Why would your mind trust you? You have often spoken without acting. You have often decided without following through. Self-trust is not built by thinking positively. It is built through evidence. Small evidence. Quiet evidence. Repeated evidence. Wake up when you said you would. Finish one task before escaping into another. Keep one boundary even when guilt appears. Tell the truth even when a lie would protect your image. Leave one argument before it becomes cruel. Sit for 10 minutes without reaching for noise. These actions look small, but each one places a stone beneath your feet. Over time, the ground becomes solid. Then when life shakes, you do not immediately fall, because part of you remembers, I have faced discomfort before and remained present. That memory becomes strength, not the loud strength that needs an audience. The private strength that appears when no one is coming. There will be days when people misunderstand your silence. They may call you distant. They may think you do not care. They may mistake your pause for weakness. Let them misunderstand for a moment. You do not have to answer every false image immediately. A clear life will eventually speak with more force than a rushed explanation. This is difficult because the ego wants to correct the room. It wants everyone to know your intentions. It wants to win the trial inside every stranger's mind. But how many minds will you enter? How many opinions will you clean? How many stories about you will you chase? You could spend your entire life knocking on doors that were never yours to open. The disciplined person brings their attention back. What is mine to correct? Perhaps your behavior, perhaps your tone, perhaps a mistake you genuinely made. Correct that. What is not mine to control? Their interpretation, their mood, their willingness to understand. Release that. This distinction is one of the deepest forms of peace. Without it, you waste energy trying to carry what belongs to other people, their expectations, their disappointment, their assumptions, their inability to see you clearly. You can be kind without carrying all of it. You can listen without surrendering your judgment. You can care without accepting blame for every emotion in the room. Now let the lesson turn. Until this moment, we have spoken about not trusting others with control over your peace. But there is a deeper level. The truly calm person does not even trust every thought that appears inside their own mind. That is where the path becomes more serious, because not every thought is a message. Some thoughts are echoes. Some are old fears repeating themselves. Some are wounds trying to predict the future. Some are pride defending an image. Some are exhaustion pretending to be truth. You receive one short reply and think, they are losing interest. You make one mistake and think, I always ruin everything. You see someone succeeding and think, I am falling behind. You feel nervous and think, something terrible is about to happen. The thought enters wearing a uniform. It speaks with authority. It tells you to obey. But a trained mind asks for identification. Who are you? Where did you come from? What evidence do you carry? This is not overthinking. It is mental discipline. You do not fight the thought. You do not shame yourself for having it. You simply refuse to kneel before every sentence that crosses your mind. A thought can be present without becoming a command. Fear can be present without becoming a prophecy. Anger can be present without becoming a weapon. Sadness can be present without becoming your identity. This is what calm response means. You allow the emotion to exist, but you do not allow it to drive with your hands tied behind your back. Picture yourself sitting beside a river. Leaves float past. One leaf says, "You are not enough." Another says, "They will leave." Another says, "You must prove yourself now." The untrained mind jumps into the river and is dragged by every leaf. The disciplined mind remains on the bank. It notices. It breathes. It waits. The leaves continue moving. This does not remove responsibility. It improves responsibility. Because when you are no longer controlled by the first thought, you can choose a better action. And what is panic really, if not the worship of the first thought? Something happens. The mind interprets it. The body reacts. Then you treat the interpretation as fact. A door closes, and you call it the end. A person leaves, and you call yourself unlovable. A plan fails, and you call your future impossible. But one event does not contain the entire meaning of your life. A closed door may still hurt. A departure may still wound you. A failure may still cost time, money, confidence, or reputation. Calm does not deny consequences. It refuses to exaggerate them into destiny. You are allowed to say, "This is painful." You do not need to say, "This pain will never end." You are allowed to say, "I failed here." You do not need to say, "I am a failure everywhere." You are allowed to say, "They did not choose me." You do not need to say, "No one ever will." The mind often turns one cut into a funeral. Discipline keeps the wound its actual size. This matters when comparison enters. Comparison rarely knocks politely. It enters while you are scrolling. Someone younger has achieved more. Someone less experienced has been selected. Someone who started after you is already ahead. Suddenly, your own progress becomes invisible. You forget the distance you have traveled, because someone else is standing farther down a different road. Then urgency grows. You rush. You imitate. You abandon the slow work that was shaping you because another person's speed made you ashamed. But a tree does not pull at its own branches to grow faster. It deepens its roots. Some seasons are visible. Some are underground. Your life may be in a season that does not receive applause. A season of learning. A season of healing. A season of rebuilding discipline after years of distraction. A season of saying no to patterns that once felt normal. Do not insult that season because it does not photograph well. The calm person does not trust comparison. They examine it. Is there a lesson here? Can this person's progress show me what is possible? Good. Take the lesson. But if comparison turns into self-contempt, step away. No wisdom grows in soil poisoned by constant humiliation. You do not become stronger by repeatedly telling yourself you are behind. You become stronger by seeing your position clearly and moving without drama. The path does not need your shame. It needs your footsteps. And what about pressure? What happens when many people are waiting for you to perform? When your family expects success? When your work is being judged? When one decision could affect everything? Pressure makes the future crowd into the present. You are sitting in one room, but your mind is living inside 10 imagined outcomes. Failure, embarrassment, disappointment, loss, criticism. Then your energy is divided before the work even begins. The disciplined response is not, I must not feel pressure. That creates a second battle. Now you are pressured by the task and ashamed of being pressured. Instead, say, pressure is here. Name it. Feel where it sits. In the chest, in the throat, in the stomach. Then reduce the world. Not the whole project. This page. Not the whole exam. This question, not the whole conversation. This sentence, not the whole future. This breath. Calm is the art of returning to the size of the present. The future is often unbearable only because you are trying to carry all of it at once. No human being can do that. You were never asked to live tomorrow today. You were only asked to prepare honestly. There is strength in preparation. But there is fear in rehearsing disaster. Know the difference. Preparation says, what can I do? Fear says, what if everything goes wrong? Preparation produces action. Fear produces circles. When you notice yourself walking in circles, stop searching for more thoughts. Use your hands. Write the plan. Make the call. Organize the room. Practice the skill. Repair the mistake. Action gives the mind a direction. But what if conflict comes directly toward you? What if someone raises their voice, accuses you, provokes you, or tries to pull you into chaos? This is where your training becomes visible. Anyone can speak wisely when alone. Character appears when another person brings disorder into the room. Your first duty is not to win. Your first duty is to remain conscious. Feel your body preparing to react. The jaw tightens. The breath becomes short. The mind begins collecting old evidence. It wants to bring every past mistake into the current argument. Pause. A pause is not surrender. It is the moment you take your hand back from the trigger of impulse. Ask yourself, what outcome do I actually want? Do you want clarity? Then speak clearly. Do you want a boundary? State it. Do you want repair? Do not use words designed to wound. Do you need to leave? Leave without turning the exit into a performance. Many conflicts become destructive because people stop solving the issue and start defending their identity. They no longer discuss what happened. They fight to prove who is good and who is bad, who is strong and who is weak, who cares more, who suffered more. Then truth disappears beneath the need to dominate. Calm does not guarantee agreement. It protects you from becoming someone you will later regret. You may still speak firmly. You may say, do not speak to me that way. You may say, I need time before continuing. You may say, I understand your anger, but I do not accept your accusation. You may say, this relationship cannot continue under these conditions. These are not weak sentences. They are clean sentences. A clean sentence does not carry unnecessary poison. It does not need to humiliate. It does not need to shout to prove that it exists. This is why calm unsettles people who rely on reaction. They throw a hook, but you do not bite. They create urgency, but you do not run. They demand an answer, but you choose the right time. They withdraw affection, but you do not abandon your dignity to chase it. This is not a game. It is freedom from games. Yet there is a danger here. Calm can become pride. You may begin to enjoy appearing unaffected. You may hide pain so no one can say they reached you. You may turn silence into punishment. You may call avoidance peace. You may call numbness discipline. Be careful. True calm is not obsessed with looking calm. It is honest. It can say, that hurt me. It can say, I am disappointed. It can say, I need support. It can say, I do not know what to do. A person who never shows emotion is not automatically strong. A stone feels nothing because it is not alive. You are not here to become a stone. You are here to become a tree. A tree bends. It loses leaves. It carries scars in its bark. It receives storms, but it remains connected to the ground. That is resilience, not the absence of feeling, the presence of roots. And your roots are your practices, not your intentions, not your image, not the identity you speak about, your practices. What do you do when no one is watching? How do you speak to yourself after failure? What do you consume when your mind is tired? Where do you place your attention in the first hour of your day? How quickly do you react when offended? How often do you keep the promises that seem too small to matter? This is where the calm person is built. Not during the crisis, before it. The crisis reveals the training. A cup does not become full when you need to drink. It becomes full because water was added earlier. You cannot demand patience from a mind you feed with constant urgency. You cannot demand focus from a mind trained to escape every 30 seconds. You cannot demand courage from yourself if you avoid every small discomfort. You cannot demand self-trust while repeatedly betraying your own decisions. So train before the storm. Spend a few minutes each day without noise. Not to become mystical, to become familiar with your own mind. Do one uncomfortable task before seeking comfort. Not to punish yourself. To remember that discomfort does not control you. Delay one unnecessary reaction. Not to appear superior. To make room for wisdom. Keep one promise that no one else knows about. That private promise is a vote for the person you are becoming. This is how panic loses power. Not through one dramatic realization. Through repeated proof that you can remain present. Now listen carefully, because this is where many people misunderstand trust. The calm person does trust, but they trust differently. They trust patterns more than promises. They trust actions more than explanations. They trust time more than first impressions.